Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to my No Man's Sky video. This is Shallon Magi, and this is just another day in the life of type series where I'm just running around, nothing planned, just busting out missions, doing whatever. And the last few episodes have been pretty mission heavy, a lot of space battles, a lot of ground battles with Sentinels, a lot of space battles with Sentinel ships and pirates and stuff like that. So I figured I wanted to do something a little different. In the last episode, or the last few, I mentioned I had found this temperate planet, which I'm on right now. It's pretty much like a paradise planet. And I found a really cool animal. He's like a big dinosaur. He's an egg layer. And I went ahead and adopted it because I thought it was a pretty cool looking animal to have as a pet. But there's a couple egg layers on this planet, and there's just a bunch of different animals. Egg layers, milk, animals that give milk. And so I spoke about making maybe an animal farm, possibly replacing my current one. Not sure if I'm going to do that, but I'm definitely making a base here. So as you can see, I have my Corvette, and the reason I have my Corvette at this location is because I have all my building materials inside. So I'm going to step outside. I did a few things real quick. Not really sure what how this is going to turn out, but I do like these sort of inside corner steps. I think they look cool. They're pretty functional. So it's kind of up in the air how I'm going to build this. For those of you who may not know how to go about doing something like this, so first thing you need is let me I'll just get rid of one section of these. Okay. So obviously you would need a wall, right? Like a wall and a flat panel. And I removed those a moment before I logged on, right? So you just need one, right? So say you put a wall down and you got a piece of flooring, right? And you're like, I want some steps, right? So this is where you're at. You want to put some steps in. So you would just throw the steps in here, and then once you have the steps there, you can extend them, right? And as you can see how they kind of want to curve like that. Well, I don't want mine curving that way. I want them curving sort of this way. Now the problem is they will curve this way, as we just seen a second ago, right? And the reason they'll curve that way is because we have that wall right there, right? So since I want them to curve the other way, I'm just going to move that wall to that side. And then it should be no problem to get these things. There we go. Just like that. And I don't need this floor panel now. And I do not need this flat wall now, right? That was just pretty much a guide. And since I've got two wide this way, I'm going to go one more wide this away, right? So obviously, I guess, this is going to be my base portion, like right in this generalized area right here. However, these rocks here, I may have to. Here, let me try something. I'm going to need to get some height to where I will at least clear these rocks. And the way I will do that is just by taking that short wall, right? That guarantees I clear the rocks. And then I'll just put the flooring on there. And then I can just move my steps to right there. Okay. And I'm not sure Yeah, so you can see it doesn't want to work out. So, of course, the way you'll make that work out, the way I just kind of mentioned, is you just throw a wall here, right? Just make sure it's level with the floor, like it is there. And with that wall there, now you can easily snap that step, and then you can just remove that floor panel and remove that wall. And and I think that might turn out a little bit better, right? So now I can kind of snap my panels here, but I'm not exactly sure which shape. I guess, put that in there. Now I do have, oh, I forgot to mention. Um, so I found a couple hot spots, right? Most importantly, I was looking for an electric hotspot, 700 UOA. I can make it work though. If you watch my mining building a mining base series, you'll see that dealt with far distances like that. But I also found in the distance, where is it at? Right here. I also found an oxygen hotspot, and that's really cool because in the past few videos I've been tearing down a lot of bases and rebuilding bases, getting the same amount of materials from half the amount of bases, right? Just basically finding hotspots that are further away and getting, instead of usually 2 resources per base, getting like 3. So that's really cool. Now, this also has a mineral hotspot, and my guess is it's probably paraffinium since it's pretty much a paradise planet. Maybe sometime in the future I'll add that, and who knows? But for now, my main thing is really the electromagnetic, and to a lesser degree the oxygen, because oxygen's pretty used a lot in the game. So that's where I'm at now. Uh, yeah, basically there's a bunch of animals on this planet in this area. As you can see, it's like littered with them, right? This guy gives giant eggs. You got some tall egg layers. Most of these guys just give like fresh milk, right? Which is cool. So I want to have a base that's like pretty accessible for me throwing down a couple harvesters and then tossing out some food pellets and having a huge amount of animals instead of like having to run down the hill or up the hill. I'm trying to figure out a nice layout. So yeah, I'm just going to, this is going to be pretty much a base building day for me. So I will stop, I'll stop by here and there and check up with you as I progress. So stick around when I'm back. So this is what I've got so far. Pretty much just glass walls, timber floor, little bit of concrete floor in the front, like for the porch. However, I do not want these steps this wide at this point, so I'm going to delete the outside portions, and I want to put the more narrow portions, but in order for that to work, I'm going to have to use a narrow wall. I'm going to connect a wall there and there. Now I can remove these narrow walls once I get my steps down. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now, uh, I'm not sure if I want to use the concrete. I almost feel like even that is too much. Maybe, maybe if I just put, say, the concrete. Let's go with, yeah, let's go with that. If I just kind of do that. And of course, I would, I'd probably have
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm probably going to just change these into wood now. So since they're wood, then maybe I'll just put little wood rails on the top, right? Like that sort of thing, right there. And of course, then just put the small little wood flooring pieces down there like that. Kind of want to get a feel for it, so what's going on here? So I'll probably have maybe I'll make 2 landing pads here. I don't know. But kind of like when you come out the front door. Eh. Okay, there's a wall there. Yeah, I need to remove these walls. Not the steps, but the walls. That one and that one. Now let me see if I get hung up like that again. Yeah, I'm not getting hung up now. All right. Yeah, still work in progress. I will catch up with you. All right, everyone. Now, right at the get-go, it doesn't appear that I've got a lot more finished. Didn't get a whole lot more finished, and it's a little unsymmetrical, but that's okay. This is more about functionality. You can see there's a whole lot of animals like in this general area. So I'm going to put a lot of my feeders pretty much right around here. So I decided to extend this out a little bit. I want to show you something cool here. Now, I learned this from YouTube, a No Man's Sky YouTube content creator named Dread Captain James. He's got a cool channel. He does other video games too, but he's got some good No Man's Sky base building and stuff like that videos. And I think he learned this from Beeblebub, but I'm not sure. It's a way to get your landing pad. So if you notice right here, I removed this wall, right, this middle wall, and I put this short wall. Instead of running it like that, I just ran it down one. Okay, now I did have to have one there, and then I just took the next one in and put it underneath. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to take a floorboard and snap it, because normally it would snap right where the normal flooring is, right? And you don't want that. You want that, right? And then you would just build your pad, right? Before you even put your pad down, you would build your pad. And I think this is, so from here, it's like 1, 2, 3 normal size blocks, 3 rows. So 9 normal size blocks a square. And then you just kind of outline it with the smaller floor pads. And then you put a couple short walls. Well, you really only need one short wall, like right here. So then what you do is you will take your flooring and just run it right across the whole pad, right? And it makes a pretty cool sort of, landing pad design or whatever. Then you just finish up with your short wall or your small floor panels, right? But this is kind of the idea, right? And like I said, when it's all done, like with your short panels, you would just fill this in, right, all the way around with your short panels. But what I'm thinking of doing, and I've never really done much with this stuff, the middle piece right here is really tough to get out. I do not want to delete the landing pad. There we go. What I'm thinking of doing, instead of using wood, And wood looks really cool, but I've never seen it done with this salvage floor stuff. So I'm curious, because I mean, it is a freaking landing pad, so it's not out of hand to have sort of a steel structure, right? And I guess you could color this. So this is kind of what I'm thinking here. However, maybe with the style of this planet being sort of a paradise planet, probably makes more sense to have wood. But yeah, that's a pretty cool landing pad, right? Let me see what it looks like when it's colored. It really doesn't look too much different at all, honestly. So I don't know. I think that would look cool, maybe on a different type of base. Does look sharp, but I do think that maybe for this spot, maybe the wood really is a little bit more, fits in a little bit better with the environment, like the style of it and all. See, I'm going to go with the wood. I'll check in with you when I get that part done. Hey everyone, I'm back. Hey, I wanted to share another little, I don't know, a tip or a trick. It's just something cool. Now, whenever I use a standard landing pad, you may have seen in some other videos, I like using this cuboid frame, right? And the way you would do that is normally with the standard landing pad, as long as you have a door, the pad will snap right perfectly centered. And then you'll just take this cuboid frame, sort of find the middle, and you just run it out far enough to where you think is like the center, right? So maybe you'd run it out a little further in the center, and then you get rid of the other cubes. Well, the last one you just grab with you, and you take it with you underneath, and it will easily snap to the bottom perfectly. Right now, not only does it snap perfectly to where you got this thing centered, but the idea behind this is if you were to start on the ground, first off, it would be pretty tough trying to find a center spot on the ground. But then the other problem is when you start stacking them, right, they actually might not make it up to the pad, right? There may be a pretty big space underneath, and that won't look right. Or they wind up stacking, and then the last one you put on there is pretty much sticking out of the pad like this, and you don't want that. So if you start with this as a guide, once you get the other one snapped down or snapped to it, you can remove this, or you can drag it away, and then, right, you could just pretty much run these things all the way down, right? Obviously, where it looks like it's sort of, like built into the ground. And it gives your landing pads a much more, plausible look. However, with this landing pad, right, which is the alternative landing pad, right, not the standard one. Usually I use the cuboid frames we just deleted whenever I have this pad. However, with the alternative landing pad, it doesn't have the same snap points that the other one has, right? For this pad to work, you have to put a floor down pretty much to sit this thing on, or you have to sit it on the ground, right? So what's cool with this is, since we have the whole perimeter of this thing made of the tiny little floor panels, the inside is the big ones, but on the outside you have the tiny floor panels. So what I like to do, and it's really easy to do, I like to use these cylinders, okay? And they will be on your decoration page where your lights and your flags and stuff are, okay? And I like this one right here, the cylinder. To me, it looks like a piece of concrete that's got like rebar running through it or wrapped in metal plating, and it's easy to find the center point, right? And you just stick that right there. And this works just like the cuboid frames. It will snap, boom, right to the bottom. And you can just run this thing all the way down. And, you know, it definitely gives it a more realistic look. It kind of has like a very structural, sort of industrial vibe to it, which sort of makes sense, you know, landing pads and stuff. And so then, of course, once you do that, I mean, you don't even need to run them all the way down. You can remove, once you get this snapped in, you can immediately remove the top piece, right? Now, obviously, that looks kind of crappy, but the fact is, right, is we put these walls up here, and we did this whole trick here, right, by putting this short wall, right, just moving it down and then putting our floor panel and putting the pad here, so that way we can take and we can build our floor right over top of the pad, and it does not interfere with anything, right? And the cool thing with this is it's very symmetrical. You don't have to use the small little floor panels, right? You can use the full size, and it looks really good like this. And then, of course, you know, up to you, but what I would do is I'd probably just, I would round this thing off. You know, I'd go all the way around and pretty much, you know, do that. And that makes a really, really nice, looking landing pad. But this is cool too. So with these, now you can color the cuboid frames, I believe, but you're not going to see much of a difference. I think the little rubber ends you usually see on them, they're orange. I think they may recolor, but with these, you can really color these. So I like to go with rust, right? Kind of just makes it look more real, and they really color nicely, right? So whatever, you know, whatever color you think looks cool. I don't know, so like the environment here, the ground's kind of red, purple, brownish. So I'm thinking maybe somehow trying to sort of match that vibe. Certainly not that, I mean, honestly, I don't know. Maybe the lighter colors like that, or maybe kind of like the gray just sort of seems to work. To me, that's a little bit crazy. That's a little bit crazy. That's not too bad. Maybe green or light blue. I don't know, but pretty much, yeah, they color really well, and then it's just an easy thing just to easily apply that all the way down. For me, I'm on PS5, so I just hit the middle pad. Once you get one of them colored, you just hit the middle pad, and it immediately colors all of them, right? Yeah. They might be a little too white. I might use like yellow or something, but yeah, that's pretty much a cool landing pad. And I learned this from Dread Captain James, cool YouTube channel. And don't quote me on this, but I think he may have learned it from Beeblebub, because I did see a video a long time ago where he was also showing you how to do this. So yeah, pretty cool landing pad. Totally functional too.
Um, However, I can't land my Corvette on this thing, but yeah, decent. Everyone, I'm back, and I think I'm ready to put the roof on. I got a pretty good idea what I want to do. I think it'll work, but I'm not sure. I just wanted to point something out. It's kind of funny. I think it's because, I don't know, snapping this stuff to the landing pad, it kind of automatically colored my wood, sort of like red. Pretty sure I can change that. Yeah, yeah. So not a big deal. I just thought it was kind of funny. I'll wind up coloring it and all. But let's. So I really love these outside and inside corners. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to try to use nothing but outside and inside corners. I may have to use a panel or two, but okay. Oh wow. Okay, so okay, that's not gonna work. Let me get rid of that. Um, you know what? I'll move these. Let me put these on here first and see what I can do with this. Okay. Now I think I can get that inside corner in there. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right. Yeah, so I have to use. I like these two though. I think they're cool. So throw that right up in there and right there. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. So let me see. So either port in here, right? Port in or fly in, and pretty easy access to all the animals. So really just need to throw down a couple of the feeders. I do need to set up my electromagnetic system because that's kind of what runs power to those things. Everyone, I'm back. So, yeah, not much looks like it's changed. Pretty much landing pad's the same. I think the last section I had put this roof on, it's got some pretty cool angles, outside and inside corner angles for the roof. Pretty much digging that. Um, so I did get my electromagnetic spot made, hooked up, so I do have power at the base. However, what I did do that is probably not noticeable from right here is, so I've got a front door here, I've got two of these doors, but when I come out here to the landing pad, I've got a stairway going down this way and one going down this way. They're pretty much identical, symmetrical. And that's funny. The wood, kind of like the landing pad, changing color on me there. But I'll eventually color this thing. But this is where I'm planning on putting the teleport, or um, the teleporter. And of course, got this whole thing right here. So, little spot under the landing pad, kind of keep it out of the main building sort of thing. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and throw the port like right here, right in the center. And yeah,
just see if that kind of... Yeah, that's fine. And I've got a bunch of light boxes underneath this place. Like I got one in each corner of the building and one in the center underneath. So pretty much no matter where I aim this, it's gonna, I'm gonna wind up getting electric out of here. Okay, right there. And then I just need to, let me see. I may have deleted the one of the wires as I was doing this build here. So check it out real quick. Okay. No, you know what? I just don't have the light boxes connected together, so that would probably help if I did that. Just jump up in here. Alright, connect that to, I think I got one over here. Yeah. To that. Now we got that live. And then connect another one. There's one in the corner here. No. There's one over right here. And then I'll connect this one. I think there's one. Yep. Alright. Cool. So, yeah, now I can just hop back in. Pretty much store that back. And let's see. Yeah. Kind of got my, you know what? This is a big enough base to where I think it makes sense to, well, yeah, but that's not deep enough. Alright. There we go. And throw this wall back in. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Alright, so I guess besides putting a a nutrient processor in here, I need to throw some of these automatic feeders along here. So I'll catch up with y'all. So I pretty much have 3 feeders down, and I'm probably going to use 4 livestock units. So I'll probably put one like right here. It's pretty close. Put one in the middle here. Throw one sort of in between these two, and then put the last one sort of here. Oh, I need more metal plating. And yeah, put the last one like right here. And then it's just a matter of wiring them up. So alright, I think I've got it. It's slightly buried in the ground, but hey, if it works, it works. Alright, so they all are hooked up. Now I just need to
Throw some pellets in these things. And see what I got. So I'll put like, I'm not trying to get a whole bunch of food from these animals right now. See, I'll just put 10 in each one, pretty much. Just pretty much test it out. Throw some food around. Oh, you know what? There's only 3 feeders. Okay, so that leaves me a couple to toss out. And I'm not seeing any animals around. Alright, so I'm just going to hang tight. I'll be right back with you. Hey everyone, I'm back. So, man, you know, this place earlier was absolutely crawling with like a ton of different animals. It was unbelievable. And they're gone, like completely. And there's been a few cycles so far, like of you know, daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. And yeah, I mean, so it's crazy. This whole base build may have been a complete waste. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty decent looking base for sure. But it, you know, it's definitely not doing what I intended it to do. And so yeah, maybe maybe there's different times where the animals kind of come around and then they leave for a while. I don't know. But I mean, the base is pretty much already here and it's uploaded. You know, I even took a screenshot of it. So, well, let me see. Yeah, so the base is uploaded. So I don't know. Guess I'll just leave it here for however long and periodically stop by, check it out, you know, see if there's any animals hanging around. If not, I guess at some point I probably will wind up just deleting this thing and maybe maybe putting my efforts more towards the base, the phosphorus mining base I built. Like I was saying, there's a ton of animals there. So I don't know. You know, like if I just port there right now, see if there's anything going on real quick. All right, we're here at the now we're here at the phosphorus base, and now this place is looking pretty empty too. And there's usually, okay, so right there we have a fresh milk creature, leopard fruit. So the wolves here, these guys give leopard fruit. These guys give milk, and I think these guys, they give crab apple. So you got milk, crab apple, leopard fruit, and up here always nice hexaberry, right, for the anomalous tart or anomalous jam that makes the anomalous tart. So yeah, I kind of feel like maybe this place would have been better just to actually throw down a couple feeders and harvesters. Not saying I can't do that, but yeah, that place was kicking with animals. Now there's absolutely none. And this place, you know, there's quite a bit of animals here. So interesting stuff. I don't really need milk, crab apples, or leopard fruit. That's something I have a ton of. That's probably why I have sort of held off you know, making this a food area. And then my other food base, I'll go to my other food base. That's a good one. Route to Center of the Galaxy Animal Farm, yeah. So I remember when I was on my way to I was on the way to getting to the center of the Euclid Galaxy. This is after I'd already, quote unquote, beat the game. I just wanted to sort of get to the center, document it. Kind of like what I want to do now with the Hilbert Galaxy and then the next galaxy. But I got on this planet and I noticed there was some egg layers, but there was other animals, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw down a couple harvesters and stuff, and that is this place right here. Yeah, I got a good amount of stuff thrown down, but there's a lot of animals. So this guy gives creature eggs, which is great. Leopard fruit, creature egg, bone nuggets, creature egg. So yeah, there's a pretty decent variety, but the creature egg is pretty big, and creature eggs are great because they're not, they're slightly rare, I guess you could say. Like this guy's got fresh milk. I don't know what. Let's see what this is right here. Oh yeah, so that's one of the big wacky creatures. Tall eggs. Another one right here. See if they're pretty hard to catch. Yeah, they're definitely hard to catch, no doubt. There we go. I got him to stop. And these dudes are pretty fun to ride around, that's for sure. But yeah. So, I don't know. I guess let me think about what I'm going to do. That might be pretty much the episode for me, though. Maybe it's a little too early to sort of, jump to conclusions like, oh, that base is worthless, and because there were a ton of animals, and I mean, I think I even got some of it filmed, like, whoa, look at all these animals here, and then all of a sudden they're totally gone. So, yeah. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, everyone. I just ported back from where I was just at, my normal base, and we've got a ton of animals here now. Yeah, pretty interesting. Got food pellets in there, and I'm curious. Let me throw like 10 or 15, 16, whatever. Inside there. I was ready to just get on video here and pretty much just delete this base, right? Because quite a few cycles went by where, like, there was no animals whatsoever at this spot. So these things are definitely collecting stuff. 4 milk so far. 2 eggs, 4 milk, and just to kind of maybe keep luring them in, right? Just sort of throwing the pellets near the harvesters. I don't know. Hey, you get over here. The 8 guys are the ones I really want coming around. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have sort of a cycle, you know. Problem is well, with the other food farm, the animals are always there. This is appearing to be like sort of a little spotty. You kind of have to be here when these guys are feeding. So I guess this would be one of those situations. Oh, I kind of forgot to show you something that I did. Back in the day, there used to be those, I think they're called root cellars, you know, people, I guess before electricity, and even nowadays, I guess, like, people make log cabins or something to go camping. They want to kind of mimic sort of the way people used to live. They would dig a hole sort of underneath their cabin or whatever, and they called it a root cellar. And I figured I'd do that here because even though we got a high ceiling, there's really no place to put a storage unit unless you stuck it right in the middle here without it like creeping through the ceiling or the walls. So I went ahead and put a port right underneath, pretty much right underneath the floor. And this is my my food storage, which is nice to have because unlike the nutrient processor, it has its own storage, but the storage here will hold like 200 of whatever, right? Whereas the nutrient processor, as you can see, I mean, as far as like the plants, yeah, it holds a full stack. But when you get to like, right, like anything, all the stuff stacks in 50s, unfortunately, even the milk. Whereas with your normal storage unit, you could get a stack of 200. I just literally have no room. What I really need to do is, and I had it before, but I literally need to find the exact foods that I'm going to use for specific purposes, right? You know, so this right here, or the wriggling tart, pretty much gives me the insane jetpack stuff. So maybe, you know, and this is the heat resistance. This right here is herb encrusted flesh, I believe, just gives you hazard shield. This I should put near the heat resistance. This gives me radiation protection. Cough biscuits, frost protection, and I did find one that gives you toxin protection. I think it's it's a shame that it doesn't show what it does in the recipe thing, but I think it's maybe this. It might be this chewy dumpling stew. It could be that, or it might be the popping stew. It's one of those. But what I need to do is find each one of the ones I want to take for each category, and then just basically go to town, cooking all that stuff up to, you know, free a whole lot of space up. Cake batter's a good one, right? Because that makes the chocolate cake and also the esophageal surprise. Only thing is, the anomalous tart does the same thing the chocolate cake does. And I have a lot of hexaberry as well as a lot of eggs. So I don't know, but there's a real nice one I had. I think it's either the honey tart or something, but it adds plus plus 100 and some to your life support. So I need to figure out which one that is and make a buttload of that. So let's see what we got here. This thing, yeah, 34 milk. I mean, that's crazy. And how are we doing on? Yeah. You know, these, yeah, not much eggs though. Yeah, the animal farm things, or at least from what I've noticed, is, you know, you hang out here for a little while, feed a bunch of these animals, and basically you're good to go for quite a while, to where, you know, you don't have to spend too much time, right? It's like almost like a vacation. It's been a while since I've collected any food, and I've got a ton of it, like really losing room to hold it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get busy on making a bunch of the different foods that fit the categories. Okay, yeah, well, you know what, everyone? I was getting ready to freaking tear this base down, delete it, because I went through quite a few cycles where these guys were pretty much non-existent, totally not here. And it looks like we're back in business, so yeah, I'm going to keep this thing up. And you know, I would have wound up filming. I would have wound up filming it even if I did decide to tear it down. I kind of want to keep this series as real as possible, even though, you know, yeah, editing and cutting just to sort of get more content, you know, cutting out like running from here to the ship or taking a teleport and filming the whole thing. But like I think it was in the previous video, I wound up dying to some living monstrosities because I was sitting there trying to hit him with my plasma launcher, and I didn't realize I had the cloaking device on one of my main weapons, so I wound up getting rid of that. So yeah, I think this will be it for this one. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. So until then, peace out.